What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And no, I'm okay. I'm okay. Don't call the police. Call off the National Guard. Here I am. I know it's been so long since you've seen me. That should be the beginning tagline to all my videos, but with good reason. I've had a lot of stuff going on, but we are back now with a special kind of video for you. See, I've been in the process of making this video now for about a good week, I'd say. And it started out as something else, and we'll get to that video down the line, but I figured a better way to kind of ease ourselves into this than to kind of pull back a little bit and make it a little bit shorter. So without further ado, I'm going to bring a new kind of video style to you guys that I don't have a name for yet, and I don't really know a direction for it. What could go wrong, right? I am going to rank top 5 detective horror movies today. And what do I mean by detective horror movies? They are a form of horror, supernatural movies that have a police kind of procedural detective narrative to the films. Editing Nate here. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. So the criteria of this video is a horror or thriller movie that has police kind of procedural elements to it. It could be supernatural, or it doesn't have to be. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. It was late when I was filming that video, so I just wanted to clarify. That dumbass. Very long-winded, I know, but you'll see what I'm talking about here.
Get on with it!
So, without further ado, my number 5 detective horror film will be The Zodiac. That is right, you cannot have this kind of a list without at least having 1 or 2 David Fincher films. Now, this is very much grounded in reality and is very much the aspect that makes it so scary. You know, when you think of The Zodiac, it's so shrouded in mystery, and that is what really kind of lends itself well to adapting it to a motion picture. This film does suspense so amazingly, and the cast in this film is just absolutely fantastic. Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr. There isn't a moment in this film where you feel like you're kind of at ease and that tension level goes down. Like if you look at the scenes with Arthur Lee Allen, or the part where Jake Gyllenhaal's character is investigating down in that guy's basement, that tension level is just ramped up to 10. It is so incredible. That movie has such this kind of documentary kind of style and feel to it, and it really never kind of takes its foot off the gas. This is really kind of what you think about when you think of David Fincher's style of film. And it really makes sense because this is such an amazing, suspenseful film that really weaves you down this kind of plot, and you really get sucked in.
I'm not the Zodiac. And if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
This was such a precursor to Mindhunter, which is an amazing series that ended way too quickly on Netflix. If you have not checked that out, highly recommend it. It is very similar to this kind of a feel. At number 4, we have The Exorcist 3, or also known as Legion. That is right, the third Exorcist film makes its way at number 4, directed by William Peter Blatty, who made the Exorcist book that was then adapted to the 1974 movie. What is so amazing about this film is it's so different from that first movie, and it really kind of sets itself in its own kind of universe. This film is not a narrative masterpiece, and it is not for everyone. But what I feel like it does so well is acts as a beautiful precursor to movies like The Zodiac, Seven, Silence of the Lambs, even films like Longlegs. I feel like got a huge inspiration off of William Peter Blatty's film here. George C. Scott stars as Detective Kinderman, And this takes place 15 years after the original Exorcist, and he is tracking down a case that is very similar to one that happened back 15 years ago involving the killings of the Gemini killer. What I feel like The Exorcist 3 does so well is kind of keeps you on that narrative of this police procedural, but also you feel like you're in this really dirty, perverted nightmare. It makes sense that this was one of Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite films because it is so gruesome, but in such a brilliant way.
What the fuck?
All of the kills that you see in this movie are completely off screen, but the way it's depicted, the atmosphere and the tone, the way it's described makes it so much worse. There are so many setup shots in this film that makes it feel so cold and almost makes it feel so foreign. Guys, if you haven't checked this out, this is one of George C. Scott's and especially Brad Dourif, who plays the Gemini killer. This is his best role I've ever seen him in. He plays that dirty, grimy, scary, and horrifying serial killer so well. It's sad to say it's what this guy was made for. Guys, The Exorcist 3 Legion, check it out. It is now kind of gaining popularity in more recent years, and yeah, I can't talk about that film without mentioning one of the greatest jump scares of all time. It is amazing. At number 3, we have Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners. That's right, we have another Jake Gyllenhaal movie on the list. This time, Hugh Jackman tags along in this really grounded in reality, kind of suspenseful movie. This movie isn't as much of a horror film, but I also wanted to kind of keep it in here because it shares so much of the same elements with those other movies. A really great police procedural at its core, but has these really, really beautiful family moments and these really, really disturbing scenes that feel so real. This film really reminds me of something like 48 Hours, where you're watching something and you think that this is so real, it's so cold, and you never know where it's going to lead you. The acting in this film is so just spot on to how you think a father would react in a situation where his kids go missing. One thing I really love about this movie too is the cinematography. It is shot in such a way, especially at the ending scene where Detective Loki is on his way driving to the hospital. That cinematography and the way Denis Villeneuve really shoots the film, and Jake Gyllenhaal's amazing acting, it really adds such another level of suspense. Guys, Prisoners is fantastic. It's a movie that I find myself watching at least once a year, and I find new ways to love it.
Yeah, no wonder. It hasn't been a fucking week.
You're right.
It hasn't been a week. 6. Day 6. And every day, she's wondering why I'm not there to fucking rescue her. Do you understand that? Me, not you. Not you, but me. Every day. So forgive me for not going home to have a good night's rest. And why didn't you look for my fucking daughter rather than fucking... Hey.
Number 2, we have The Granddaddy, what really kind of set this kind of detective horror genre on the map, and that is Silence of the Lambs. I know what you guys are saying. Nate, how do you not have that at number 1? Nate, you have a receding hairline. Anyways, this is a film that was a tour de force and really put horror movies on the map and made them really credible kind of threats at the Oscars, winning Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Actor, and Best Actress. This movie here really shows the kind of changing at the guard in the way people think about horror films. The acting and character work in this film, especially by Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter and Jodie Foster as Agent Starling, is amazing. It is iconic. That score and that beautiful directing by Jonathan Demme. This movie is so weird because it is so menacing and so horrifying in ways, but it also makes you kind of want to curl up in a blanket on like a fall day when the leaves just started to fall. Just me. Do I have those Jeffrey Dahmer tendencies?
Yes.
Anyways, Ted Levine is also amazing as Buffalo Bill, the kind of central villain, and it really paces itself so well. That's one thing I really feel like is not touched on a lot when this movie is talked about, is that beautiful, beautiful pacing. It really kind of flows perfectly and focuses on the relationship between Agent Starling and Hannibal Lecter, and also what's going on with Buffalo Bill. This movie has such a great culmination, and that final showdown with Agent Starling and Buffalo Bill is just amazing. It's fantastic, and the way the film kind of wraps up leaves you wanting more. It wants you to explore these characters so much more, and we got some of that, but we ain't going to talk about the sequels today. That's a whole different rant for a whole different day.
Good morning.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling. May I speak with you?
You're one of Jack Crawford's, aren't you?
I am, yes.
May I see your credentials?
Certainly.
Closer, please. Closer.
Before we get to number one, I want to highlight an honorable mention here with Shutter Island. I think it's one of Martin Scorsese's most underrated films, and same thing with Leonardo DiCaprio. This is such a perfect example of the idea of rewatching a film and it's a whole different movie on the second viewing. There are so many different things, and I've seen this movie 3 or 4 times that I can go and rewatch it now and I can see something else, and it completely changes my perspective on the movie. And that is just what is amazing about films like this and how rewatchable they are. Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo are just amazing in this film. Guys, if you have not checked it out, definitely check out Shutter Island. Number one, we have Seven. That is right. This list is bookend by David Fincher movies, and how couldn't it be? He really has kind of pioneered this genre. Seven, I feel like, is what makes all of those other movies great, really wrapped into one. The acting by Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman and, dare you say his name, Kevin Spacey, are just on point. They are such standouts in this film. The kind of yin and yang between David Mills, played by Brad Pitt, and William Somerset, played by Morgan Freeman, is just amazing. And John Doe, the villain in this movie, played by Kevin Spacey, is just so chilling and so amazing. This film has such a way of showing you everything, but also kind of pulling back. And like we talked about with The Exorcist 3, I feel like that makes things so much scarier. This movie really just takes you through a ride through hell and back. The way it's shot, the use of the rain, the way you're supposed to feel like an outsider in the city, but also it's supposed to feel so lived in and so gross. No one is necessarily nice in this world. You feel like a piece of trash on the street that is just sitting there and marinating in this filth. Guys, I don't think there is a scene out of place in this film. Every little technique that is used is meant and there on purpose. David Fincher really took his time, and you can tell after a movie like Alien 3, he was coming back and nailed it out of the park. This really set up those David Fincher kind of tropes that we still love and live for today in movies like The Zodiac, a series like Mindhunter, Gone Girl, Fight Club. He does such masterful work, and it is just so indoctrinated into his DNA. I can't talk about this film without talking about the ending part, aka the what's in the box scene. That wraps up this film perfectly and does not give the audience the satisfying ending that they're looking for, and I think that is absolutely perfect for the film that you just got preceding that.
Big surprise.
Detective!
You're looking for me.
Hey!
Don't you fucking move. On the fucking floor.
Keep away from him!
On the fucking floor!
I know you.
I feel like the reason I picked this topic for my first top 5 video. It is such an underrated genre of films. Guys, let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know what you thought of the new format. And let me know some other topics you want me to do for this top 5 list. Also, we need a name for it. So drop some suggestions down in the comments. I can't wait to talk to you guys down there. If you don't mind, maybe even leaving a like would help out great. If you're feeling ever so generous, maybe even leave me a subscribe and help grow with me. Guys, until next time, I love you all, and I will see you later.